Hey everyone, Tim here. I hope everyone is having a good Thursday. Yesterday I shared a post on LinkedIn with a little video talking about how I've been working in InDesign, Adobe InDesign this week, to start laying out a new book that I'm working on. And even though I haven't formally announced the new book, that'll be coming soon. I'm working on a new book, just about instructional design. So it's kind of be a follow-up from this book, but it's going to be it's going to go a lot deeper than any of you have this book. So there's a strategy behind it. So stay tuned. You'll hear more about this later. But I was so pleasantly surprised by all the comments about those who have worked in Adobe InDesign before. And I think Adobe InDesign is that one piece of software that not all L&D teams use it, but if you've ever used Adobe InDesign, you know how powerful it is. And I think it's one of those tools that most people are kind of sleeping on and don't realize how often this gets used. I got first introduced to Adobe InDesign in my first instructional design job, like way back in 2009, and we would use it to format and design participant guides and facilitator guides. And Adobe InDesign is a desktop publishing software. And the way I've always described it is it's like if you were to take Adobe Illustrator and Microsoft Word and combine them together and then give them a bunch of steroids, you would have Adobe InDesign. So it's a desktop publishing software. And so any book you've ever seen laid out or formatted, or a magazine, chances are it was formatted in Adobe InDesign. And I love Adobe InDesign. And so I wanted to just take a moment and share with you all, if you wanted to see a little bit of how the sausage is made, is how a book gets set up and designed in Adobe InDesign. And I've shared this in the past before, but one of the weird things, I don't know if it's weird, it's just my process. Whenever I'm writing a book or I've written a book in the past, I usually, and you'll see there's a lot of placeholders here, I've always started with the layout of the thing. And I don't know if it's because I'm a design person first, like a visual design person, but I feel like designing the layout helps me understand the experience, like it helps me visualize the experience I'm about to create. And when you're creating a book, that's really what you are doing. You're creating an experience. It's not just the words and the content, it's the size of the book and the dimensions and what's the feel and how does somebody navigate that content and how do you create conventions for when somebody sees a heading, what does that heading mean, and versus the body content, right? And so for me, writing a book and putting it together is really kind of a design exercise in terms of a visual experience and everything, right? So I won't go into a ton of detail here, but the two things that I think people need to understand that makes Adobe InDesign such a powerful tool, and this is where it kind of mirrors what you can do in Microsoft Word and in PowerPoint. So like if you're in PowerPoint, you have master slides. Well, in Adobe InDesign, you have master pages. And in Microsoft Word, you have paragraph headings where you can do H1, H2, and you can stylize those. You have those here in Adobe InDesign as well, right? So if I zoom out here, you can see here, these are called spreads, right? Because this is how it's going to be printed. So 2-page spreads with content here, and then down here, there's content, and down, over here. So it's like a book. I'm looking at it like a book, right? And as we look at these spreads, there's a lot of there's tons of lines everywhere, which can be overwhelming, right? But whenever you're doing something for print production, there's a lot of things that you have to think about, because when it goes to print, they print it on pieces of paper that are bigger than what you'll actually get. And that's called the bleed area, right? And so we can see, this white area here is the page, but then what you see here in the red, this is the bleed area. And so anytime I put a graphic in the book or something like that, it has to extend at least to this bleed area, because the piece of paper they're going to print it on is actually larger, and then they're going to trim it and cut it, right, to fit that. And then we also have the margins. So you can see here, the way I've set up my margins here, that's this purple square here. This is kind of the margin space or the safe space for where most of the content's going to live. And outside of that, we have white space. And you're going to see, if we come down here to some of the content stuff, this is where we start getting into some of the design decisions that you're making. So here we can see we have a notes page, and then we have a chapter title page, if you will, here. And you can see the content here, but I leave a lot of good white space here at the top. And I think that's a very intentional decision, because when you look at the book, I'll find an example here. You don't want the book, I don't know if you're able to see it, but you don't want everything filled up. You want some good space. People might take notes. You want breathing room, right? And then you'll also notice that the inside margins, sometimes called padding, I always get those two confused, but the inside space is more than the outside space, because part of this, when they bind the book, you're going to have this space in the middle that is not going to be readable, right? So there's a little bit of extra room to account for that. And then you'll see different guides here. So I have different guides here for, where a paragraph starts and the margin here, and then, where this chapter number, chapter title, you'll see that down here, chapter number, chapter title. And so I have all these different layouts to consider for different page types, right? Here's the table of contents, all of that sort of stuff, right? So whenever you're creating a book, you're setting up all of these grids and guides and lines to create that consistent experience. So then let's get into the master pages, right? So that's just an example of what it looks like as you're going through it. And then if we go to the master pages, this is where I can see all of the different pages in the book right now. I mean, right now, I don't really have 19 pages of content. I haven't put any real content in the book. I'm just, again, designing the layout here. But I'm doing that to see how different content types and layouts and paragraph styles will look with one another. But my master pages, I can't remember what they call them in InDesign, maybe parent pages. I'm just gonna call them master pages. You have them up here, and these are different page types you might use. So I created a master page with all my different paragraph styles. That's super important. I have a master page for all the different callout types that I'm going to include in the book, and so forth and so on. And so, for example, if I were to come down here and add a spread, so a spread of 2 pages here, you can see it automatically applies content, but these are from my master pages. So let's say I wanted, instead of it to be a notes page with a chapter title page, let's say I'm starting a new chapter. So what I can do is I can just drag this master style here, and then this master style here, and now we have that. Or if I want to change my mind, and let's say I'm going to do a content page, I can put that here for the left and then the right. And then I have these kind of placeholders that I can click and engage and pull from that master page and then start editing with, right? Super cool. So that's how you work with that. But if we look at some of these like master pages or parent pages here, so here's the paragraph styles. I just created this to put in all of the different ways that I might format text. And this is where I really want to emphasize the amount of detail and intention that goes into laying out a book, right? You're not just taking text and making it bold to make a heading. Every different style of text that you see in a book has some sort of intention, right? So in the book that I'm working on, if we come here, every chapter starts with something like this. We have the chapter number, chapter title, then we have content. Then if we get into the paragraph styles, you can see we have, this is a section header, we have body text, a body header, more body text, and different bullet styles, so forth and so on, right? So the way my convention works is I have it's a chapter, right? That makes sense. But then inside a chapter, you might have different sections. So those are like subchapters. So that's what this is used for. So anytime I'm introducing a subsection chapter, it uses that, right? Then body content, we have body text. And then we might have different headers within a section. So that's what this is for. It's just kind of a bold, slightly larger version of my body text. And then we've also different types of bullet types. This is another important thing, right? So we have a non-spaced bullet body list. Okay, so these are simple lists of bullets where I don't put spacing. So if maybe they're one-word bullets, simple phrases, simple sentences where I don't need a lot of spacing, that'll just be a simple non-spaced bullet list. Whereas if we come here, I have a spaced body bullet list. So these have spaces between the bullets. So that might be, I'm going to have a phrase and then one or more sentences. So I'm going to have spacing in there for readability purposes. Non-spaced number bullet list. So numbers, or a spaced body bullet number list, if you will. And so you have to consider all of that. And then we have what I call here, I call this impact statement. So throughout a book, there might be important statements or key takeaways that you want your reader to remember. I call them like the quotable lines. And so those might be things that you just want to highlight in your body copy, right? And so that might look like something like this, where it's like content, and an impact statement, a quotable statement, the thing you want somebody to really remember from whatever it is that you're reading. So I have that formatted there like that. And so it gives me a lot of flexibility as I'm working on the book to format text in all sorts of different ways, right? And that's just text formatting. I'll show the paragraph styles here in a moment. That makes all of this happen really easily. But then we also have callouts, right? So when you're designing a book, you might have different callouts. So in this particular book that I'm working on, I've come up with 4 different callouts. I've used some of these in my other books. But like throughout the book, I might want to present a pro tip, right? A lesson learned from my past experience or something like that. So that'll be presented like this, where it's a little green check, pro tip, content, green box. Or a common question. What's a common question? Like, what's the difference between a stakeholder and a subject matter expert? Great, I have a box for a common question. Or a reality check, right? Like a warning or something along those lines that you might want to share. And then another one called AI Assist, right? That's something I'm including, is like, how can you use AI as part of that? And so I've given that, the classic blue, purple AI gradient that we see. I'm doing the robot there. So we have my AI assist, right? So that might look like, I don't know if I have an example in here. If I wanted to, let's do this. I can take this, get rid of that. And maybe I want a pro tip. I'll just copy that. And this is just a group of shapes and text. And then I can throw that in here. And then I have my pro tip that I can put here. And you can see there's different things that I do. In this case, this extends all the way to my margin, but my body content, here's a guide for that. So it creates different levels of layout, super cool. So those are master pages or parent pages. And then we get into paragraph styles. And this is where we really, outside of the parent pages or the master pages, this is where we really tap into the power that makes InDesign as special as it is. So, a lot of times when people work in different documents, Word documents, PowerPoint, whatever, a lot of times people will manually format their text. So if I want the heading bold, I'm going to highlight it, make it bold, It's fine. So let's say I'm working on some text here. And, we have, here's a cool, here's the start of a new section. I can highlight this, go to my paragraph styles, and you can see I have all sorts of different paragraph styles. So here's my section header format. That makes it a section header. And then if I were to change my section header in any way, that would update it throughout the whole book. It makes it super, super easy. And then here we have body paragraph. And then we have here the body header, right? And what's cool, or what's really time consuming, is you can see I have so many different paragraph styles for the book. I have the chapter number and notes header and chapter title. So what is that? That would be here. So this is my, hold on. That's my chapter title. Then here we have the chapter number and notes header, which is notes header is right there, the notes header. We have section headers. That is the blue text I showed you earlier, section header. We have body header. That's that bold text. We have body paragraph. We have the impact statement. That's that red text there. Then we have all of my different bullet styles. There's a whole lot of those. I have paragraph styles for the table of contents, chapter title, page number, section title, section page number. So here we have the chapter page number, so forth and so on, continues on. And then we even have the legal page, footer, text left, right. All of those are paragraph styles that you set up. And it helps keep the book consistent. It helps make the production process so much smoother because as I'm copying and pasting text out of my, the raw content into here, then I can start applying those paragraph styles easily. And then I have the book done, and formatted, right? There's a graphic there, all that stuff. So that's, kind of a behind the scenes look at Adobe InDesign. And if I were to export this, just so you can kind of see what we have here, once you have the actual exported version, I'm going to include marks and bleeds. So we have the printer marks, we have crop marks. I'll export that. And you can see here's those bleed marks, the crop marks. So when they print it, it's going to be bigger than the page, and then they'll cut it and trim it with those marks. And there we have, the book formatted, which is super cool. So when we look at other examples, I'll go into my folders here and then I'll wrap this up here. Go to my work archives. I'll show you two examples. I'm allowed to show these, by the way. So when we would do participant guides, when I worked at Kohl's, like facilitator guides, participant guides, they were these Adobe InDesign files, right? And so we would create these different design. This was like back from 2009, but we would create these documents with Adobe InDesign, and it'd have these complex layouts, and you'd have different tables and all of that stuff to create these sort of printed documents for the way we would design our facilitator guides and participant guides, right? Or a more recent example, if I go back to my work stuff here and I come into, where is it? Sales training. We have the workshop here, inbound workshop. Yeah, so this completely formatted in Adobe InDesign as a printed, what is this, a facilitator guide? Yeah, so we would do this facilitator guide for this inbound call opening workshop where we would give a workshop overview, the workshop at a glance, how to prepare for the workshop, how to do it. So, are you presenting stuff? Here are the slides that you're going to present. Here's some notes for you. Here are your speaking points you're going to say, ask, or listen for, or do. Very typical, simple facilitator guide, So that work still happens in this industry. I know it doesn't feel like it a lot of times, especially on LinkedIn, but not everything's an e-learning course. All right. So I wanted to share a little bit of that. I didn't expect this to be 20 minutes, but I hope you all enjoy. Bye.